No, I'm sorry. There's nothing there. Good evening, folks. Ken Hovind here in the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland. Tonight is Whackin' Atheist night without the lab coat. Sorry about that. So, atheists, you get a break tonight, okay? It's Dr. Kent, the science gent. We've been looking for brain cells. If just one functioning brain cell. Anybody who believes this universe came into existence by chance with no designer, I don't think they've got any. I think they're brain dead. I can't find any brain waves, can't find any brain cells. Anyway, so tonight, Whackin' Atheist with Dr. Kent, the science gent. It is December the 18th, 2019. Welcome to Dinosaur Adventureland, and we believe God made everything in 6 days. Everything, like he said, which means dinosaurs lived with man. Yeah. Okay. Dinosaurs always lived with man. They just had different names for them in different cultures, dragons or whatever they called them, wherever they were at. Doesn't matter. So if you want to help Dinosaur Adventureland stay open for free, you can go on our website and stay healthy at the same time by getting your vitamins through our ministry, and you get a discount, or we get a percentage and you get a discount. So scroll down to where it says Shackley and do that. If you want to go on the cruise with with Dr. Dino, that's me. We're leaving January 25th out of Cozumel, Mexico. Going to Cozumel, Mexico. Yes, ma'am.
Make sure that everybody, since we're getting closer to the date now, that everybody should start locking their rooms.
Lock in your room. Yep. Okay. Oh, yeah. Get that light on too there, would you, brother? Okay. Yeah, you got to make sure you got your room organized, which one you want, and go on the cruise. We're leaving out of Galveston, Texas, coming back to Galveston. I got to change this. It's Yulia or Julie now. This is I got 4 or 5 different master sets of slides I use. I got the wrong one. Sorry about that. But you now pick up extension 2. Is that correct? Okay. Let's see. Leave out of Galveston and come back. Okay, on Wednesday nights, we've been doing Whackin' Atheist. We whacked Paulogia on our first Wednesday of this program. Last Wednesday, we whacked Richard Dawkins. And Richard, guess what? You get the prize again. You get whacked again tonight. But next Wednesday, we're going to give you all a break. I've got 5 or 6 lined up I'm anxious to get to, and about 100 that need to be whacked. But we do it gently in Christian love. So, Richard, your name is still on SpongeBob for having such a wild imagination that you believe you came from a rock. We're going to use real science and try to explain it to you. Okay. So next Wednesday, though, is Christmas Day. So if you want to join us, come celebrate Christmas Eve at Dinosaur Adventureland. 7 o'clock singing and testimony time. If you're going to be here, this is new for everybody, now pay attention. If you're going to be here Christmas Eve and you'd like to be involved in a gift exchange, I want you to give your name on a piece of paper to Julie with 4 or 5 things you would like to get, or hope you get for Christmas that are less than 25 bucks. And then they will pick something off that list, or they may not pick anything on that list. But if you want to, it's a gift exchange. If you're going to expect to get something, you got to give something also, to somebody. And you're going to draw, everybody will draw a name, probably by Sunday or something. And then you'd have till Wednesday to get them a gift and hopefully get something on your list. I get what I get every year, a lump of coal. A lump of coal in my stocking every year. I don't know. But so give that to Julie by tomorrow.
A box of broken crayons.
Huh?
I always got
a box of broken crayons. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and then on December 25th, we're going to have all kinds of activities here, including free lunch at 3 o'clock, singing at 4 o'clock, all kinds of fun stuff to do at Dinosaur Adventureland. Now, visitors tonight, Walt and Rose from Missouri, right? You took the tour today, the real tour, and in the process lost your camera and your cell phone. But we found them out on the trail. It was a real tour we gave on the 4-wheeler. That was a blast. Good to have you here. Let's see. John and Pam Boomgarden from Minnesota. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Minnesota. Yeah, sure. And what kind of work you do up there?
I'm retired.
I need a job like that. Retired.
I'll get you one.
Okay. Yeah. So, Walt, how did you guys hear about our ministry?
A long time ago, our church got one of your DVD, or at the time it was a cassette.
Yeah, videos, and these DVDs and videos go everywhere,
Right, yeah. So I started watching that, and I learned a lot, and I started watching,
And you guys did not get the tour yet, but you're set up in your camper down there, so Good. How long you staying?
Probably Friday morning.
Okay. Long enough to get a little work out of you?
Yeah.
Everybody shows up here, we get some work out of them. But if you're retired, do you remember what it's like to actually work?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay. Okay, and let's see. Walt, when are you guys leaving?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow. You already got the tour? Okay. Let's see. Now, Sean has been here for how long? A week? 2 weeks?
A little over a month.
A little over a month.
Yes.
A long time. He's been helping great. Come on up here, Sean. Get the camera over there if you would. Okay. Sean and his wife and 2 daughters have been here helping, doing all sorts of projects. And your ministry that God has called you to is delivering Bibles all over the place.
God wanted me to put a Bible in every man's hand in America, yep.
How many Bibles have you given out?
A little over 3,000. And the best part is that people have started to pick up and started to order Bibles and give away Bibles also. So 'cause I can't possibly give one to everyone in America, but...
So you've been doing mechanic work today, right?
Yes.
Well, show him your hands. Come on now. He's a hard-working man. But he also wants to serve the Lord. So tell a little bit. Can you summarize your testimony in 2 minutes? 2.5.
I've been an outreach pastor for 20 years. I was in Eastern Washington, and September 1st, I mentioned from the pulpit that I felt people ought to be giving Bibles away.
Okay.
You know, that spreading the gospel is still what the Lord wants us to be doing.
Amen. So how did you hear about our ministry down here in Alabama?
How did I get here?
How did you hear about us?
Oh, I've been following you since, I don't know, 95 or 6.
Yeah, so has the KGB, the IRS, the FBI. They're all following me.
Some of your videotapes. My family, my kids, and I all have been watching you for years. You know, it's idiotic to believe the theory of evolution.
It is idiotic. There's no kind way to say it.
And,
so people want to support your ministry, so you can go out and travel and give away Bibles. Go to
Pastor Sean 1984 at gmail.com. We set up a PayPal. I don't really know how it works yet. It's new to me.
I don't know how it works either, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, somebody does.
If you want to donate there, and he'll use it to give out Bibles all over the place. Okay.
God bless. Yes,
thank you, brother. You guys are leaving tomorrow.
No, Friday.
Friday. Okay, good. So get back to work. Okay. So we got a long list of things to do around here. It's been a great blessing, brother. Let's see. The girls cleaned all the cabin windows today?
Yeah, and they're painting tonight.
And still out there painting?
Well, it's not done, so they're...
Yeah, finish the job. Okay. So
my wife wants to go with me when I leave. So
yeah.
She's got to get her work done.
Okay. So help Pastor Sean. And 1984. Is that the year you were born? Or?
No, it's the year I got saved.
Year you got saved. Okay.
4th,
okay. Good. All right. Let's see. We have cabins, motorhome hookups. If you want to come stay for stargazing on Christmas, come. You're welcome. All welcome to come for Christmas if you'd like. This is election year. I'd like you please to help me do one favor for Kent Hovind. Call or write your senator or representative first. Representatives are the most important ones to look at this situation. Have them watch my court case, my federal case. We put in 20-page documents, and the judge answers with one word, denied, and doesn't give reasons. We think that's unreasonable. They should give a reason. They broke over 100 laws to put me in prison. I would like them to have to answer for that. The first thing they didn't do is to get a verified complaint. That's like somebody hitting a home run, but they don't touch first base. All you got to do is say, umpire, we want you to review the play, and an honest umpire will say, I'm sorry, you didn't touch first, you're out. An honest judge is going to say, they didn't have a verified complaint. This case is vacated, gone, didn't happen. That's what. But they're not going to do that. A lot of political pressure from all different angles. Did you know who has the power to impeach a federal judge? The Congress. Is supposed to start with the Congress, and then the Senate holds a trial. All it takes is a simple majority. Doesn't take just half plus one. Did you know in the history of America only 15 judges have been impeached? Of those 15, 8 were convicted, and 4 were acquitted, and 3 resigned before they came to the end of the trial. Out of the hundreds and hundreds of judges, do they all rule according to the law? Study my case. Go to KentHovinIsInnocent.com. And so I just ask you to please put pressure on, and please put pressure on heaven. Say, God, would you please step in and do something amazing?
Amen.
One of the U.S. attorneys that went after me was a pedophile, ended up hanging himself in jail when they arrested him. Another one resigned from her job and is now in private practice, that just never happens. But my case was bizarre, and they've got to look at it and overturn it. I didn't do anything wrong. But now we got word that they're looking for something else to put me in prison for. It's unreal. But just pray. Have God step in and get a hold of your congressman and say, look, do something about this, okay? Okay, if you want to help our ministry, go to the 777 Club on drdino.com and just donate there. If you want to help, give $1 or give $1 a day, $31 a month. Make any checks to CSE if you want to help. I promise you, we will spend it wisely. I drive a 2012 van now that somebody gave me. I had a 2000, you saw my gray van, brother, 325,000 miles. Someone felt sorry for me, said, 2012 van. Whoa, it's only 7 years old now. Anyway, I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this to win souls. So if you want to help us, please do that. I think I've got a 50-year track record of showing I'm going to do the right thing. Okay. Tonight we're going to whack an atheist. I'd like to whack Christopher Hitchens. He's on the list, even though he's dead now. Christopher, you still need whack because you've turned many people away from the Lord. He said, what can be asserted without evidence can also be dismissed without evidence. Okay, you guys assert that evolution is true, but there's no evidence for it at all. So I get people asking all the time, would you please whack Richard Dawkins? Okay, I started last week. We're going to do one more round, and if we have to, Richard, we'll do 100 more, but I'd like to finish it up tonight. Okay, Richard Dawkins has been a very outspoken atheist and evolutionary biologist, and claims he knows for sure there is no God. He said getting rid of God would make the world better. Seth Andrews, who I did a whack an atheist on about a month ago, he documents on this video how Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins changed him from a fundamental Christian to an atheist. He was a fundamental Bible-believing Christian, went to a Christian school, and was a radio announcer on a Christian radio station, and those guys turned him away from God. Richard? It's your turn tonight, son. Okay. So start watching this video at about 29:20 if you want to see more on that and how Richard Dawkins turned him away from God with that book right there, The God Delusion. Richard Dawkins is all over the internet. Just type in Richard Dawkins evolution and lots of sites come up. He speaks all over the place on this topic and pushes it hard. On this one, he said, someone said, show me the intermediate fossils. So we talked about that last week. He went to this chart at the Nebraska Museum on this YouTube right here, show me the intermediate fossils. And he said, there are lots of intermediate fossils. He said, there are plenty of them. And one of the best examples is whales. And we started on this last week with our guest from calling in by phone from California. No, Richard, there is no evidence for whales. First of all, fossils are not evidence of evolution at all. No fossil is evidence that any animal changed to something else. None. Think about it. From a legal perspective, if this was a court of law, and you brought in a bone and said, this is the ancestor of, I'd say, excuse me, you don't know this is the ancestor of anybody. You can't prove those fossils you found had any children at all. You certainly couldn't prove they had children that lived. How could you find bones in the dirt and say, this bone represents an animal that had children that lived? Think about it. That's dumb. There's no kind way to say it. Now, Richard, you got a really high IQ and you're smart in many other areas, but you are completely missing the point on the fossils. No fossils count. You certainly couldn't prove any fossil had any offspring that lived and were different. No animal today does that. Who would this new imaginary different offspring mate with? Don't you have to get two of the opposite sex in the same place at the same time in history and they got to find each other? You got a whole bunch of problems. Not just one. Where's the evidence that one new improved creature could take over the population? So billions of inferiors must die. This is Adolf Hitler 101. Let's find the most superior race and let's wipe out the rest and speed up the process. That's what they were doing. Okay? Why would anyone believe bones in the dirt could do something no living plant or animal can do? Produce something after their kind, other than after their kind, something different. The Bible says they'll bring forth after their kind. So, Dr. Dawkins, by the way, I will be honored to debate you live on my channel or yours or any place. I'll fly to England and debate you with half my brain tied behind my back on evolution. You're a really smart fella, but there is zero evidence for evolution and you are turning people away from God. And it's time somebody whacks you with science and knowledge. There is no evolution. It didn't happen. None of it. It's all imagination. Okay.
Where's your rainbow?
Oh, the rainbow. Yeah, okay. It's imagine. Okay. The missing, I've never seen SpongeBob. I've heard, is that what he does? Something, okay.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Imagination.
Just imagination. Okay. You guys watch too much TV. The missing links in the whale evolution story you give as the best evidence for evolution, your words, have been disproven years ago. Why are you still presenting them? Is it because you honestly don't know that they're fraudulent? One option. Is it you know they're fraudulent, but you don't have a better replacement, and you hope nobody will call you on it? Is that why you're doing it, Richard? Or you're deliberately dishonest to protect your religion of evolution, and evolution is your religion, it's not a science, okay? Maybe you're paid to mislead people. I don't know what it is. But either way, you're misleading people. The Whale Evolution Fraud Exposed, creation.com has a great article on that by Don Batten, if you want to read that one, from back in 5 years ago, okay? Pakicetus is one of the ones they claim is an intermediate fossil. Again, no fossils count. But what did they actually find with Pakicetus, found in Pakistan? We talked about that last week. We've already pointed out the extreme storytelling that occurred with Pakicetus involving Dr. Philip Gingrich. An incomplete skull fossil was imagined to be that of a whale-like creature, displayed as an artist's impression on the cover of the prestigious journal Science in 1983. They find a few bones of a skull, put it together, and say, ah, this is intermediate for a whale.
Imagine.
Imagine. I'm sorry, I got to do that.
It has the word right there.
Okay, yeah, imagine. Okay.
Incomplete skull fossil.
Some years later, the rest of Pakicetus was found, published in 2001, and it proved to be nothing like a whale. Contrary to what Gingrich had imagined, there was no blowhole, there were no flippers, only hooves. So now we have a whale with hooves.
Have a blowhard.
A blowhard, yeah, okay. Gee, there was no whale neck, just a neck typical for land mammals. Even so, Dr. Werner reveals that the American Museum of Natural History in New York and the Natural History Museum in London, where you're from, Dr. Dawkins, have not stopped using the falsely constructed skull that shows a blowhole.
Wow.
Why are you guys still using something known to be wrong?
Wow.
That's all I got.
That's all you've got. I have evolutionists tell me this quite frequently. When I point out lies in the textbooks on my video number 4, they'll say, well, what are you going to replace it with? Think about that for a minute. Yes, ma'am?
You're taking away their passy.
Taking away their pacifier. Exactly right.
Cry.
They're going to cry. I know. Okay. Okay. The ear bone is not like a whale, which has a finger-like projection. Here is the whale bone from an ear bone from a whale. It has this little finger thing sticking out of it, okay? The sigmoid process, but it's plate-like, like the fossils of land animals known as artiodactyls. Here's a painting of Ambulocetus, which they claim is an intermediate, showing the fake blowhole and tiny ears. Here's a Real Science Radio program that they did a section on Real Science Radio's list of evidence against whale evolution. If you want to listen for that for 30 minutes. Rebutting the canonical whale evolution story, reading down here. Real Science Radio host Bob Enyart begins a comprehensive series of interviews with filmmaker Carl Werner. Dr. Werner's videotaped interviews with the discoverers of the walking whales have caused museums around the world to change their fossil exhibits. Well, some of them have. Some are still keeping it in there. It's still in textbooks today. Kids learned about this today in school, that the whale has a vestigial pelvis. This is one of the bones we'll talk about in a minute. And try to be discreet, okay? Dr. Werner reports on the most fascinating chapters in the history of science for the imagined whale-like features of Pakicetus. It is not an intermediate.
Imagine.
But, huh?
There's
Imagine,
the word
okay.
again. They use
Vestigial. Whales, for example, have small bones located in the muscles of their body walls that are vestigial bones of hips and hind limbs. Really? No, they're not. This is from I got, how many biology textbooks do I have right there? 30 or 40 of them. A bunch more up at the house. A bunch, okay. I taught biology. I like biology. Bio means life. Ology is the study of. So the study of life. Real biology should teach, real science. It is not real science to say the whale has a vestigial pelvis. He does not. Many organisms retain traces of their evolutionary history. For example, the whale retains pelvic and leg bones as useless vestiges. First of all, from a strictly logical perspective, going from having legs to not having legs is losing something. Even if it was true, how does that explain how we got everything? Jeannie Scott at the National Center for Science Miseducation, she said their job, their whole business was started to stop creation from getting into schools. That's why they exist. They're working to defend the teaching of evolution against sectarian attack. A sect would be like a religious. So their job is to protect evolution from religious attack. We are a nationally recognized clearinghouse for information and advice to keep evolution in the science classroom and scientific creationism out. That's why they exist. When I was in Berkeley speaking over there at the university, I went to their national museum, or to their National Center for Science Education headquarters. It's a building about 3 times the size of this room. loaded with books on atheism and evolution. So I just walked in there, looked around. It's like a bookstore, like, you know, like I own the place, you know. And I'm picking up books and looking at them here and there. This one guy walked out of one office and he walked down real slow and he was just looking at me kind of funny. He just kept looking at me, walked in. A few minutes later, he walked back the other way and he's just looking at me kind of funny. About the third time he walked over, he said, "Are you Kent Hovind?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You're standing in our building." I said, "That's because I can't fly. I stand everywhere, or lay down or sit down if I can." He said, "Oh, no." I said, "Well, what's your name?" He said, "Skip." I forget his last name now. Skip Evans? It doesn't matter. That night when I spoke at Berkeley, some of them came and we had Q&A time. Nobody would debate me, so they just lined up for Q&A time. And he got in line and asked his questions, and I think I answered them. It's all on one of our debates. Anybody know what number that is? I think it's in the red series of tapes. Anyway, Kent Hovind at Berkeley. And Skip, I'll come back and debate all you guys with half my brain tied behind my back. But guess what? The National Center for Science Education, science means knowledge, is still teaching that the whale pelvis is evidence for evolution. And it's not. They're still teaching that the human embryo has gill slits, proving it evolved from all these other creatures, like from all these other creatures have a common ancestor. That is a bold-faced lie. And Jeannie Scott, you know it. I did you one debate on the radio. Come again, honey, anytime, okay? You and Skip both. Bring it on, okay? Bossy to blowhole. This is from the National Center for Science Miseducation. Is this how whales evolved from a cow to a whale? Do you know how many differences there are between a cow and a whale?
17.
17.
I'm guessing.
Million, probably. Whales give 2,000 pounds of milk a day. Utterly impressive. Whales have a vestigial pelvis and leg bone that serve no purpose. Here it is, right here, okay? These structures are evidence of the whale's evolution from four-legged land-dwelling mammals, really. Modern whales have hind limbs which have been reduced to only a few tiny internal hind limb bones that have no function. Really, Holt biology. Just imagine whales walking around. It's true. This is a book for children, okay? There's Discovery, the Institute for Creation Research in Dallas has a great article, Vital Function Found for Whale Leg Bones. Guess what? Those little bones are not reduced leg bones. Here they are right here at Los Angeles Museum of Natural History. Those little bones are anchor points for very special muscles that allow the whales to make more baby whales. It's part of the reproductive system. Without those special bones and those special muscles, they can't get baby whales. So they got to mate in the dark, underwater, and they can't talk. And they got a huge tail in the way. Yeah, it takes special muscles to maneuver things around. Okay? There's the bones right there. That is not a vestigial pelvis, guys. Okay? It's been proven wrong a long time ago. But National Pornographic for Kids said, oh yeah, millions of years ago, dolphins had legs. You guys are lying through your teeth. I'll take on the whole staff at National Pornographic in a debate. Come on, bring it on. And I'm just a lowly high school science teacher without an accredited degree. I should be easy picking, guys. Makes me angry that you would lie to children in your magazines. The whale does not have a vestigial pelvis. Richard, fix it. They'll listen to you. Tell everybody. Get on TV and say, guys, everybody, stop using the whale evidence for evolution, because you said it's the best one they got, Richard. And you should be honest and say, folks, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Stop using that. That is not a vestigial pelvis. It's not. It didn't used to be a leg. The whale still uses it today as often as he can, I'm sure, okay? The whale's pelvis is located far from the vertebra and has no apparent function. Holt biology, you guys ought to have your license removed. You shouldn't be writing books for children if you're that dumb. Promiscuous males make good use of their pelvis. They finally figured out. Wow, he uses that thing. Hips don't lie. Whale pelvic bones are not vestigial, but instead evolved to help the marine mammals maneuver better during sex. Really. It's not vestigial, guys. Whales have especially small pelvic bones compared to their body size. A blue whale can be 100 feet long, size of a bus. Actually, 100 feet is a lot bigger than a bus. But the pelvic bone is only around a foot long. For a long time, scientists figured that the bones were so small because they are vestigial, a shrunken evolutionary remnant from an ancestor that once walked on land. But now scientists have discovered that the tiny bones may actually play a huge role in whale reproduction. Whoa. And it was published, believe it or not, in the prestigious journal to give a whale more maneuverability while tackling the logistically difficult task of mating in the water. In the journal Evolution magazine published that? I bet they'll get fired. So they've known this for 5 years. The whale does not have a vestigial pelvis. They should have known it all along. By the way, even if it was, vestigial is losing, not gaining. That's the opposite of what you guys need for your theory. Contrary to popular belief, these are not vestigial structures. They do have a function. The function is reproduction, and they evolved in response to sexual selection. They're still going to keep the idea that this is proof for evolution. You can read the article for yourself, okay? The bones are therefore connected to the base of the spine and tops of the legs with real hip bones, okay? They are. In whales, the pelvic bones aren't attached to anything. They're not pelvic bones, guys. Stop calling them pelvic bones. Stop calling them vestigial. Call them part of the whale's reproductive system. That's exactly what they are. They're not vestigial anything. Stop lying. Stop, okay? But downloaded a few minutes ago from Live Science, they said, oh yeah, dolphins may have remains of legs. Really, okay? How about downloaded about an hour ago, Live Science in 2008 said early whales had legs. Over time, they evolved to dwell in water. Their front legs became flippers, while they lost their back legs and hips. Although all modern whales still retain traces of pelvises, and occasionally throwbacks are born with vestiges of hind limbs. Okay? Well, they're not getting it. 2014, USC Education, University of Southern California, both whales and dolphins have pelvic hip bones. Evolutionary remnants from their ancestors walked on land more than 40 million years ago. Richard, this is what you're teaching people. Not true. Not true. Grow up. Gee whiz. Okay. Common wisdom has long held, these bones are simply vestigial, slowly withering away like tailbones on humans. Your tailbone's not withering away either. And if any of you atheists think the tailbone is vestigial, I will pay to have yours removed. I got a Swiss Army knife. I'll do it myself. I know right where it's at. I taught anatomy. I'll get it out of there. Believe me, okay?
What about the picture of the monkey opening the door?
That's on a different slideshow, but yeah, I need to do that. Okay, let's see. From learnreligions.com. The whale of a pelvic bone. In most animals, the pelvic bones are needed to be able to move the lower or rear set of limbs for the purpose of locomotion. That would be walking or running. In some species, such as whales, these limbs don't exist for the most part, although vestiges of them never remain. Hold it. May 2019? When they knew from 2014 it's not true. You're 5 years behind, guys. Update your website, please, okay? Austin Klein wrote in 2019, this year, most of the obvious anatomical homologies are between anatomical structures, and he goes on about talking about the whale bones being a vestigial pelvis. Guys, it's not a vestigial pelvis. It's part of the reproductive system. There it is, right here. Male and female have very different bones in that region because they have different things they got to do to make babies, okay? These Cretaceous pelvic bones attach to muscle group called the ischiocavernosus muscles. Cavernous in a cave, a cavern, okay? There it is right here. There is the so-called pelvic bone. It's not a pelvic bone. It's a bone that attaches muscles because their penis is 15 feet long and they got to maneuver it in the dark underwater. You think about that, okay? Dumb. Okay. Still teaching has a vestigial pelvis. Vestigial structures, such as the pelvic bones in the baleen whale, are evidence of evolution. You're lying, folks at Glencoe. I'll take on your whole science staff. I'm sick of putting up with this. Maybe, am I getting grouchy in my old age or just fed up? I'm fed up with it. Lying. Vestigial structures. The skeleton of a whale reveals the presence of pelvic bones. No, it doesn't. But how many students went to Northern Michigan University and learned this from their textbook? Said, whoa, I saw evidence for evolution. Vestigial pelvis. They're lying to you. Stop it, Richard. They'll listen to you. You tell them to stop it, or you are a dishonest liar if you don't. You know the truth. Now, if you really value truth like you say you do, I listened to 5 of your messages last night from 2 to 4 in the morning. Maybe that's why I'm fired up.
You are cranky.
Not cranky. This is normal.
Tired
Okay.
and cranky.
Okay. The whale's pelvis is evidence of its evolution from four-legged, land-dwelling mammals. They're lying. This is lie number 25 of my video series here. It's not true. They talk about the horse having vestigial parts, and the whales and snakes having vestigial. All this stuff about losing. They say the snake has a vestigial pelvis too. It has tiny hind claws, vestigial pelvic bones. These little claws right here is what they're talking about. They'll say, see, that proves it used to walk on land. Here's a snake skin from a 15.5-foot albino Burmese python that is still in Pensacola. We need to get it up here for our museum. It has these little claws and little hind limb bones, little leg bones. That's part of the snake's reproductive system. See, snakes can't talk and say, scoot over, honey. Okay? This is essential to make baby snakes. Okay? It's nothing to do with walking on land. No, you can't be that dumb. Guy brought his python to our museum. Said, look, Hovind, my python's got these little things. It's not for walking on land. It's not proof of walking on land. It's not evidence for evolution at all. Stop lying to the kids, please. Pythons and boa constrictors have tiny hind leg bones buried in muscles toward their tail ends. No, they don't. Well, they don't have leg bones. They have bones, but they're not a leg bone. They're not a vestigial leg. Anyway, they're also intriguing evidence of the evolutionary history of species from the American Museum of Natural History. Well, I, for one, have had it. I think it's time. I'd like all the Christians in the world to go to your local museum and science centers, and if they have the whale leg bones, like Richard Dawkins said, one of the best examples of evolution is that chart he showed at the University of Nebraska. Look at this, intermediate species. This one had tiny legs. Richard, it's not true. Now be honest and say, folks, I'm sorry, I was mistaken for all these years. I know you're, 78 years old now. Hard for an old man to say they're wrong. But you're going to have to say you're wrong. The whale does not have vestigial hind legs. They are not anything to do with legs. They have everything to do with making baby whales. Nothing. It's evidence of really amazing design. They got a lot of problems to overcome to make baby whales. They got a huge tail in the way, for one thing, okay? And they have to, it's just not science to say they're vestigial legs. They're not. So we got to quit. That's enough for tonight. Any questions from the group here? Yep. No. All right. So if they tell you, kids in school, listen carefully. If your teacher tells you the whale has a vestigial pelvis or the snake has vestigial hind legs, you tell them Kent Hovind said they are mistaken, they're way behind on their science, or they're deliberately lying. Okay? And I will come debate them with half my brain tied behind my back, just to make it fair. And I'll take on every teacher in the school, all at the same time. If I get half the time, we talk about one topic at a time. And let's stick with this lie about whales or snakes having vestigial hind legs. They don't. It's part of the reproductive system. And I'll pay my own way to come there. See, here's the thing. The students, I get calls every day like this, don't I? They're teaching me this in school. What do I do? I say, well, you stand up for truth. Daniel was taught all the Babylonian religion. He didn't swallow it. Turned out to wrote one of the books in our Bible. Joseph went to school in Egypt, taken captive is probably a 17-year-old kid, taken to be a slave down in Egypt, grew up in their schools, and ended up being a great man of God. You can live for God anywhere. Matter of fact, that friction might make you better, might make you stronger. You know, weightlifters have opposition to get stronger. So it might make you better. But if they're teaching you this garbage about the whale or the snake having vestigial legs, tell them I said they're mistaken or they're lying, and I'll take them on a debate. They don't want to, see, they want to get in front of their students and talk about this kind of stuff because the students don't know. And they've got an academic advantage over those kids. I mean, they're going to give them a grade. They got a psychological advantage. Oh, that's teacher. He has that certificate on the wall that says he is educated from some university, an accredited university. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. They can't scare me. They can't frighten me. They can't fool me. They can't fail me. And they can't fire me. I don't work for them. Amen. So it's perfectly fair. Nice level playing field. Bring it on. And Matt, you guys with your imagination, come on. Whale does not have vestigial pelvis. Snake does not have vestigial legs. Richard, I'm calling on you. I'd like everybody that knows Richard has a way to get a hold of him, get over his website, email him, and say, Richard Dawkins, you need to watch Kent Hovind's YouTube on December the 18th. He's calling you out and asking you to assist him and get this lie out of the textbooks. If you won't, you're a coward or a liar or both. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye.